Welcome to the world of Steven Seagal, actor, martial arts master, musician, diplomat, environmental and animal rights activist, and vegetable epicure. Not to mention, a ladies' man.
In all the allegations of sexual harassment, you had a rape allegation against you, and I wonder how you deal with all that.
In 1952, in Lansing, Michigan, the greatest human being ever to walk the earth was born. Contrary to popular belief, Steven Seagal was not born on Mount Olympus, or forged in Asgard, or created through the synergy of the gods of Egypt. He was born to mortals. One, a medical technician, and another a teacher. He moved from the Rust Belt of Michigan to sunny California to live out the American dream, before then moving to Japan to pursue his interest in martial arts, namely Aikido. You can check out his incredible Aikido skills here. You can just see how much effort his opponents put into getting their own asses kicked. Having yellow fever, he married a Japanese woman who was the daughter of the dojo master that he was working under, and they had 2 spawnlings together. Steven Seagal returned to America, divorced after an affair he had. He really started his acting career. He starred in a variety of movies which sound like they were titled by a 14-year-old boy on the internet who wants to act like a tough guy. Here are some of their titles: Above the Law, Out for Justice, Marked for Death, Hard to Kill. All of which were panned by critics. In 2001, he hosted a Saturday Night Live episode. But this was a flop, and he was called the worst host ever. To be fair to Steven Seagal, despite his performance sucking absolute balls, it still is better than a lot of the shit that you see on the show today post-2015. However, he did star in one good movie, Under Siege, in 1992. An action movie about Navy SEALs, also starring Tommy Lee Jones. Unlike previous movies, it was a big hit and was highly praised. In the mind of Steven Seagal, this was just one small element of the legacy of the greatest organism ever to draw breath on this planet. In the eyes of everyone else, it was a gold nugget in a pile of manure. After Under Siege, he continued to star in direct movies, this time ones that went direct to TV, meaning without a cinema release. Something you usually see for Hallmark movies and Christmas movies that are really, let's just say, unconventionally cinematic. Again, there is not much to say about these movies other than the crappy action scenes and the titles that could only be written by a man who wears sunglasses indoors. Black Dawn, Outreach, Submerged, Belly of the Beast, Kill Switch, Pistol Whipped, Urban Justice, Driven to Kill, Against the Dark, Born to Raise Hell, The Keeper, and A Dangerous Man. Titan Publishing even wrote a book analyzing Seagal's movies from an intellectual perspective called Seagalology, in order to understand the meaning of his movies. The meaning being slapping people and explosions. Steven is such a badass in these movies that he can kick ass while standing in his chair. It is rather strange that he tried to market himself as some master fighter while sitting down, while simultaneously trying to market his other product, his energy drink. Say what you want about the health effects of energy drinks, but they're usually good for helping you get off your ass. But Seagal is such an alpha male that he can defeat terrorists and criminals while having his overweight ass cheeks firmly planted on a cushion. As you can probably tell, he got fatter and fatter over the years. And it's hard to convince the viewing public that you're an martial arts master when you're built like a potato sack filled with cottage cheese. As his movie career was entering the shitter, he pursued other ventures, like the aforementioned energy drink business, called Steven Seagal's Lightning Bolt, and even a brand of aftershave called the quote-unquote scent of action. Given his weight and film choreography, it probably smells like Cheeto dust and onion rings. He also teamed up with a Russian weapons manufacturer to make rifles and knives, which I'm pretty sure have been used by Putin to kill a human rights activist or two. He was even granted Russian citizenship along with Serbian citizenship, one of the few countries in Eastern Europe still allied with Russia. He called Putin one of the greatest living leaders and considers Putin a quote-unquote brother. Putin's PR team, on the other hand, has reported to have claimed that, quote, he wouldn't necessarily say he's a huge fan, but he's definitely seen some of his movies. More recently, Steven Seagal has tried to solve the Russia-Ukraine war by having a birthday party in Moscow, apparently. He is also filming a documentary on the war-torn Donbass region in eastern Ukraine right now. I'm sure the Ukrainians are terrified of his Aikido skills. Speaking of Russia and Aikido skills, here's a clip of him showing the Ruskies how much of an alpha male he truly is. You can see the perfection, the divine masculine, and the way he just stands there. He also met with the dictator of Belarus, Lukashenko, on his estate and discussed highly important geopolitical strategic matters like who could act like the best Easter Bunny. During this time, he also took interest in music. Here is a song called Lady Saw Me Want the Punani. Punani being a Jamaican word for vagina. I'll let you judge for yourself.
Why? Tell me what you really want all night.
No want the bananas if I make me name.
Me want the body, him want the punani.
He also took an interest in law enforcement, starring in Steven Seagal, Lawman, in Louisiana. Season 3 was the most eventful as he switched from Louisiana to Maricopa County in Arizona, which is basically in Phoenix, led by Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who is oftentimes regarded as being one of the most hated sheriffs in America, back when he was actually the sheriff. He was notorious for his racism against Mexicans in particular, but that didn't bother Steven Seagal. The show was dropped before Season 3, however, because apparently he and Sheriff Arpaio wanted to serve justice by cracking down on a cockfighting ring led by a Hispanic man. Keep in mind that Steven Seagal has been a staunch environmental and animal rights activist, so this makes sense, right? He wanted to save those poor chickens from being tormented. And how did he save those poor chickens from this disgusting animal abuser, who, by the way, is Hispanic? Well, he literally ran his tank into the property. Yes, a tank. A fucking tank. Killing over 100 chickens in the process that he was trying to save. Oh, and by the way, a puppy was also killed. Speaking of dead puppies, Steven Seagal is also a holy man. He is a Buddhist. Some Buddhists have embraced this, claiming that he is the reincarnation of a figure known as the Changdrag Dorje, which I am mispronouncing. This basically is a type of quote-unquote treasure revealer who lived during the 1600s, who has now been reincarnated as a fat actor slash martial artist enthusiast slash carrot eater. Other Buddhists claim that he got this recognition through donations. Speaking of being a deeply religious person, Steven has also been embroiled in numerous sexual misconduct allegations. These are all allegations, keep in mind. However, they date back as far back to the 1980s. Well, actually more like the 1990s, to be fair. Before the Me Too era, where breathing in front of a feminist without her consent could be considered assault. Much of this revolves around the casting couch, along with sex trafficking allegations from Vietnamese woman to unzipping his pants in front of an actress off screen for quote unquote chemistry. He also allegedly assaulted actresses during the pre production process, and yes, even the R word. He also has been accused of physical abuse towards stuntmen who have been actually fighting while he channels his Buddhist masculine power through his man titties sitting down. And that pretty much sums up Steven Seagal, the polymath, legendary warrior, cinematic genius, human and animal rights crusader, and master of group fu. Thanks for watching. Cheers.